Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Phil. I am the Down Under Maker. How is everybody this morning? It's 3 a.m. my time, and yeah, time for some stuff. Today we're going to be doing some software updates on my Voron 2.4 and trying to find out where the squeak's coming from. And are you ready for some nightmare fuel? Because yeah, I've been printing many unicorns for my daughter's upcoming 5th birthday as things to throw into her little goodie bag. Now, Caleb, can you do me a giant favor, please, and go and rustle up those guys in Alex's Discord and tell them the stream started, because they're not here. That'll be awesome. It looks like we've got Jeff, Rod, Greg, Raj, Nick. Caleb's here because I've already mentioned him. And hopefully Farm Tech is around too. He dropped into the chat right at the beginning to say hi. Audio's good, so thank you, Raj. Looks like we're all on a winner this morning. So let's zoom out a little bit on those unicorns, because they are somewhat disturbing if you have too many of them. Give me a minute. That one. Zoom out and let's go to that one. There we go. Many unicorns. And on the Prusa right now, there's another series with bright blue hair. So yeah, it's one of those things. Ballistic Tech, good morning. And there we go, Brad's turned up as well. So Caleb's done his awesome thing and reminded all those guys to come on over. So yeah, printing many scary looking unicorns. Yeah, just something to throw into the little giveaway bags that my wife does for the kids when they come to the birthday parties. And the layer stacking on these ones hasn't been awesome, but I think that's come down to the fact I'm printing at high speed rather than using the balanced profile, which is what I'm supposed to be using. But that one's already loose. So one good thing is the supports all seem to break off nice and cleanly. They do take a little bit of work to break off, but they do seem to come off nice and clean. He's got a little bit of pink under his, well, it has a little bit of pink under the chin. So I just need to, oh, there we go. But the supports are all coming off nice. So I think my support interface settings are pretty good. It might need a tiny bit of work, but yeah, the index is still a work in progress, but it's producing pretty decent results. Like I said, the layer stacking's not brilliant on these, but they're kids' toys, so not that fussed. And it was mostly about testing this high-speed profile to see if it was working, and I wouldn't do it for big batches, so I don't think normally, but for kids' toys, it doesn't really matter. Now, before I stand on all these bits of sharp plastic, I'm just going to throw them in one of my many bins. But yeah, that's what I'm working on in the workshop at the moment. In fact, just to be completely and utterly disturbing, why isn't that working? For some reason, OBS isn't able to capture the buddy camera at the moment. I'll worry about it later. But yeah, in a moment, we'll have a look at that. So let's move on. Now, last week we talked about the PandaSense Pro and how it's a bit expensive, but it does a good job of what it does. I've had that integrated onto my printer for months, and I had to just hide it from you guys. I had to disable it in the successfully removed a tiny QFN package using my hot plate and hot air, then soldered a couple of wires onto the pads. Dude, that's hard work. So for those of you who don't know, Ballistic Tech, he does 3D printing and he does electronics work, microelectronics, like this kind of microelectronics. And he's talking about dealing with stuff that is only about 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters. So that's pretty good work. Catching up on chat, making sure I've not missed anything. So like and subscribe his channel after you've watched me, and yes, some different content. Just having a look, and Caleb's saying hi to Rod, but we're all good. So the PandaSense Pro, I had it on my printer for months. They've since done a public release and pushed new firmware and stuff. I installed the firmware. That completely broke all the integration with Clipper. And one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to add it back into Clipper so that it's all working again. So without further ado, let's have a look at this. Reset, there we go. It was too zoomed. Okay, side cam. No, not side cam. Screen three, there we go. So here we have it. We're on the Big Tree Tech public GitHub, I think. No, maybe not. GitHub, Big Tree Tech, and into the repos. Do a search at the top for Panda. PandaSense Pro, there we go. The blue ones are in the printer right now. If I could get the buddy cam to work, I would put it up on the screen, but it's not playing the right games. In fact, if we go to Prusa Connect, we can restart the camera, I think. So while I'm waiting for everything to sort itself out, camera. Will this be representative of integration for a new product version then? This PandaSense Pro is already out ballistic. Looks like the camera crashed about an hour ago, based on what I'm seeing here. So let's restart it. Easiest way for me to restart it is to kick it off the Wi-Fi. Buddy cam, where are you? There we go. Reconnect. What happens is the camera part and the Wi-Fi part on the buddy cams get lost, and they decide not to talk to each other. So kicking off the Wi-Fi then restarts the camera, and hopefully should all talk to me in a minute and say reconnected. And if it doesn't, then I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to reach behind the printer and unplug it back in. But let's go on to doing this, and then I'll worry about it. I'm going to get rid of these unicorns because they're annoying me. Actually, I'm not going to put them there because they'll just be more in the way in a minute. Don't stand on them. There we go. So, unicorns are out of the way. Table mat so I don't damage the table surface any more than I have to. So, Ballistic Tech, you haven't seen PandaSense Pro. Let's quickly show you. There. This little environmental sensor package, and the built-in home assistant support and a whole bunch of other stuff, which means that you can then unuse the data onto Clipper and all sorts of other stuff. So let's go back to screen 3. I've already installed the latest firmware. Firmware is available there. You just simply go into the UI on the PandaSense Pro, go settings, scroll to the bottom and select a bin file and upload it. It's that simple. There's nothing to that. But what we need to do is we need to go into this. This is the integration which then puts all that data on the screen in Clipper. So we're going to copy that. And just convenience and for ease, I've already been here. I've already worked out exactly where to put it, and I've already deleted out all the beta stuff. Now, when I was reading through this, I did realize that there's some typos and some formatting issues that I don't like. So let's go through and make this pretty. So, okay, would you guys like to see what it looks like, warts and all, or would you like to see just the pretty fixed version and just see my fix? Tell me in chat, please. Because when I read this and things I know about the software from having tested it, I can see that there's some annoying things going on. And I'll have a quick sip of coffee while I wait for you to reply. No replies, nobody's listening, nobody cares. That's all good. I'm going to do it my way, as Sinatra said. So, I know that if I put underscores into this script, in fact, let's zoom in a little bit, make it easier for you guys to read. If I was to have underscores in the script, it appears as a blank space. I also know that it automatically capitalizes the first letter. So temperature will appear on the screen as capital T, even though it's lowercase t here, but all the rest will be lowercase. Weird thing, but that's how it works. So that should actually be PM 2.5 and PM10 CO2 for carbon dioxide. Now, that is not how you write formaldehyde. On the screen, it actually has the word formaldehyde, and that is not how you do the chemical for formaldehyde. So I'm going to just type in formaldehyde. Because trying to do the subscript and stuff to make it look right is not good. Aldehyde. Actually, seeing as it's going to ignore my capitalization anyway, I'm just going to do it here for easy copy and paste at some stage later. That first letter is not going to make any difference at all. And we're going to go save and restart. And we're going to do some zooming out in a minute. Reset that to an appropriate size. Now, what that's done is hopefully added it to my dashboard. There we go, PandaSense Pro. And hopefully it'll populate in a few moments. If it doesn't, then I've done something wrong and we need to adjust it some more. There must be another stream going on and everybody's distracted by a giveaway, I think. Nobody's talking to me. That is not loading. Did I miss something? MQT, helps if I tell it the IP address. John Beck is here. Keela's here. Hello, Keela. And Brad is driving. Don't drive and text, Brad. Now, handy thing on the PandaSense Pro is that it will actually, on the screen every few moments, it will give you its MDNS name and its IP address flash up on the screen for you so that you can see what its IP address is. I happen to already know that on mine, it comes up as 47 There you go, there's the MDNS name and the IP address at the top of the screen. So I've typed that now into Moonraker. Double check I've not missed anything else while we're here. That should all be good. And go save and restart. Now that effectively crashes Clipper for a moment, so you need to give it a second, then go try again. And then into dashboard and see what happens. Ah, hey, we have it. So let's zoom in a little bit here. So we have our temperature readout, which matches. We have humidity, the 2.5 particles, the 10 particles, carbon dioxide, the estimated total volatile organic compounds. That's a mouthful. We have the formaldehyde written as formaldehyde rather than some random letters that aren't really chemicals, and the AQI, which I can never remember what that's short for, but it's there. Keela is the queen of multitasking. She definitely is. So, either are you calling me a queen? I'm all good with that. And Plague is Slim. Hello. So yeah, we've now got the PandaSense Pro data into here. Now, one of the other beta testers has been experimenting with writing some code to make it its own subsection in here. And once he's happy with it, I'll definitely jump in and grab his code and integrate it so it's its own section, because it's nice to have that data. Remembering that this unit you can have basically one per printer if you're rich, because they're not particularly cheap. Or you could just have air quality index. Thank you, Rod. You could have one per printer, you could have one per room. You could even just use them straight up as home units, just to measure what's going on at home, because magically over the last couple of weeks, there is a PandaSense Pro integration for Home Assistant. So you can just transmit all this data into your Home Assistant. I don't run Home Assistant here. I run something called Homebridge, and I just haven't had time to write the content. But in theory, I could actually, because I've shown you guys before, I think, I actually have a thing called Clipsal Schneider C-Bus, which runs on my house. It's basically complete smart wiring. Everything is on the Homebridge, which means I can go, hey Siri, turn the workshop light off. Hey Siri, turn the workshop light on. But the whole house can do that. It's not just like one or two smart globes. The whole house is like that. It spits out data onto my light switches. My light switches all have little displays on them. So you can actually see all this data on the screens as well. So yes, I'm that nerdy, as if you guys didn't know that already. So yeah, you can spit all this data out from these units onto your Home Assistant platform and monitor the air quality across your entire house. So that's what this is all about. So that has eaten up the first 20 minutes of stream quite nicely. What we need to do now is shut the printer down, and we need to do some work on it. Let me explain to you what's going on. Power shutdown. And I'll give that a minute for it to do its thing. So what's been going on? I've been experimenting with printing. Let's go back to here. Little 3D printable planes for my son's upcoming 3rd birthday. Basically, you chuck something sticky on the front. I'm using blue tack. And you throw them. And they do fly quite nicely. You print them in vase mode, and this one looks a little bit disgusting because it was just an experimental one. The design is a little bit ambitious because you print them on the nose like this, and that overhang is quite ambitious for long periods of overhang. So it came out a bit rough. What I ended up doing was stretching it, because it's not a very long plane, and the longer the plane is, I'm going to give you a little aerodynamics lesson here, guys. The longer the plane is in this dimension, theoretically, the more stable it is. By stretching it in this direction, that also will make the overhang, when you're printing it this way, less. It changes the angle more like this. So that makes the overhang easier to handle. The other thing about aerodynamics is, if you've got a plane with what's called dihedral, the wings point up at the tips, like this, that makes the plane more stable. So if you were to lean the plane over, this wing is making less vertical lift compared to this one, so it will self-correct. So what I also did was I stretched it in the vertical dimension this way, which means that the wingtips actually point up more, which means it's more stable. Produces fractionally less lift overall, but by doing that, by stretching it in the length and the height and keeping the width dimension the same, it's actually made it a much better plane. And I'm going to submit that back to the guy on printables, that changing it to what I did is actually going to be a better option for many people. It does have this little thing to throw it from underneath, and it's too small for adult fingers too. So stretching it in the Z direction actually makes it easier to handle. Bear with me. I've got another one. Oh, it's already here. So that is my version compared to that one. It automatically cleaned up the leading edges, and now the strake underneath is much easier for an adult to grab. So that cleaned up the print quite nicely. Just two small tweaks. Now, I did try swapping to printing this, because this is printed with a 0.4 nozzle, to printing it with a 0.6, and the overhangs got all messed up again. So I was like, maybe I can speed this whole thing up, because I can only really print one at a time, because it's printed in vase mode, and print it with a 0.6, but that then messes up the overhang, and you get little holes in the leading edge. So that went by the wayside, but a very good experiment to tell whether it was going to work or not. I only printed a little bit. This is about 3 grams, so I didn't really waste that much filament. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with the printer right now. Let's get rid of these. Now, yeah, this is the one that I've been running around the house with and throwing, and unfortunately the dog bit it. And when the dog bit it, it actually deformed the wing and changed the shape of the wing permanently. And that means that it doesn't fly very well now. So that one's a rubbish one. So what it does is now barrel rolls as it flies. Let's go to that one. And there. Okay, so for those of you who haven't seen this before, my trolley is the same height as my printer bench. So I can do this. Uh-oh. Clownhammer, hello. Side cam. We have a printer. It's not very straight, but we have a printer. Kind of trapped myself here. On there for now. That's better, but now we can see inside the printer. There we go. So, seeing as I've got this easily accessible, I might as well get rid of all the schmutz from the priming. And that crunching noise, if you heard it, was, I don't currently have the base panel on the printer, and I think I've just torn the hinge apart that holds it on. So, not the end of the world, I can reprint that. Now, things we still need to do on this printer. Need to print a new front cover for Stealth Burner. Even though I'm not keeping Stealth Burner on this printer, I need a new Stealth Burner front cover in red, just so it matches, ready for when I do other things. Or blue. Should I reprint it in blue? I'm starting to think that I'm going to put the A4T on this printer, reprint it in red and put it on this one, and then put Stealth Burner onto the Mercury conversion. Still trying to work that out myself, guys. New stream title, Getting Unhinged with Phil. That works. When are you going to Oregon to give Bryce a hard time? Everybody needs to give Bryce a hard time by liking his streams. So, squeeze through the gap. Sorry, guys. And unplug the mains power cable from there and there so I don't end up catching it on something. Now, I don't know if we're going to end up taking the top off, but I do know that we need to take this. Now, I broke the filament holder off this side a long time ago, and I just never ever got around to taking it off. Well, that was easy. And it's not like I normally print from spool holders anymore, so it can go in the bin and I can reclaim that screw. So that's good. Now, while I was printing the planes, I noticed I was getting this horrible, rattly, whiny noise. Moist Maker, hello! Moist Maker. Something you should know. There's an ongoing thing with Terry from 3D&T Printing, who doesn't like the word moist. And Nick and myself and a few others, we just typed moist randomly into chat, and people started messaging me asking if I was specifically changing my name to Moist Maker for that chat. No, it wasn't me. It's you. You're Moist Maker. I'm going to take this door off before I break it off. I'm already breaking things today. Let's not make it worse. There we go. Now I don't have to keep reaching past it. So, drop the gantry down. If anybody's wondering what this is the nozzle wiper. So, comes in, cuts, then sits here, does its prime, then it runs backwards and forwards across the wiper. Is that gantry more or less in the middle of frame? Yep. Actually, because it's a Voron 2.4 and it's got a floppy gantry, I can do that and give you a slightly better view, I think. And just need to remember to straighten it up before I do a homing, because otherwise that'll crash. Okay. So somewhere in here, something is a bit loose and rattly, and it's got to the point where I need to fix it because something's not right. It could be that something needs greasing, or it could just be a really loose screw. I don't think it's anything to do with the belts themselves, but I'm going to first of all go around and test the tightness of all these screws, because I haven't done this for a month. Oh, There we go. That one's loose. That one's tight. That one, yeah, that one was loose. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a sign. Oh, yeah, that one's loose. This is definitely a sign that you need to come along and check the tightness on these every. That one's a bit loose. That was only a quarter turn. Come along every so often and tighten this stuff up. That one's tight. 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 That's fine. That's just a bumper anyway, so that doesn't do anything. I already tightened those two. Oh, that one's tight. Oh, that one's really, really loose. That one's fine. Oh, that one had a little bit of a bump. Oh, that one's way loose. Oh, that one's way loose too. Oh, that one felt a bit like it had something in there that might have been what was rattling. Well, hopefully that was it, but let's have a look at what's going on in chat. I was originally moist maker baking. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. I thought about making a baking channel, but my brother Baldwin Blanks talked me into changing it for Terry. Ah. Hello, Luke. Luke, we're just going over my Voron because it's been developing rattly noises and working out what's going on. And you missed me putting the new integration for PandaSense Pro into Clipper so that it displays on mainsail and fluid. But you can go back and watch that later. Quick reminder, everybody, hit the like button. It helps. And if you haven't already, go subscribe to Afterstream. Afterstream, don't go now. Go subscribe to Lee Marie 3D, to Hybrid House Studio, which is Caleb, and Digital Dragon, which is Luke, and there was somebody else who regularly streams in chat. Oh, Ballistic Tech. Loose. Now, the reason I'm taking all these off is I have a sneaking suspicion that something in here is a bit loose too. Pliers. Where did I put my pliers? Maybe I put them actually away. Yeah, I did. I need to be super careful here because those wires run my cartographer. And I'm just going to go around and tweak some of these screws because I have a sneaking suspicion that either the cutter or something related with the cutter is a bit, yeah, loose. Now you do have to be really subtle with tightening this. That's going to need an Allen key. Now this, you have to reach in, engage the short end of the Allen key in the bolt, then wrap that between the belts, and then go like that. And you still need a little bit of play, but that is a lot better than it was. That was a bit loose. Now, with Stealth Burner, it's really, really important that it's like half an ugga-dugga, not a full ugga, not a full dugga, half an ugga-dugga, because otherwise things don't work. It's reliant on you having calibrated your screws rather than just crank them all the way tight. I'm not going to mess with the PTFE because that connects to the Vivid and it's all working nicely at the moment. One thing I can do is check that screw tension for that's right, that screw didn't go in. That is an M38 from memory. Yep. I was a little rushed at one stage when I was reassembling, and I found an M38 screw after I'd reassembled it. And I realized that it was that one. So that's now more secure. That's supposed to have a little wobble in it. That's the wrong size, that's why that's not fitting. There we go. And I think that's everything I can adjust from this side. Oh. Yeah, I don't want to mess with the two screws that hold the lower half of the Stealth Burner in place, because if I do, it runs the risk of disturbing many, many other things. Now, in theory, you shouldn't have to do this, but I always do. I visually inspect as I put the Stealth Burner front plate on to make sure all the pins line up. You shouldn't need to, and it should just align and it should just work. But I've seen enough people blow up the little boards on the front of their Stealth Burner to know. Always double check that that header is aligned before you screw it together. Everybody, count your fingers and toes. Make sure whether if you've got all your fingers and toes, you don't qualify to be a millwright or a high school shop teacher. Because the free heathen is in the chat. And Jose is here as well. Sorry, guys. And Paula Ted, hello. You have a Y-sleeve Bowden tube. I like that idea. It's just to make it pretty. I had heaps of it lying around from trying to source something that would fit the CAN bus umbilical, just to make it prettier. And because I ordered a bunch of sizes to try and work out which one was the right one, I found one that fitted the PTFE as well. I then did these little clips to clip it together, which work most of the time. I do need a very slight adjustment to it. There is one downside to it though, with the, if you're using ECAS, all you can do is put a little bit of heat shrink on the end to stop it unraveling. And then it's a little bit floppy. But yeah, it's good enough. It looks pretty from a distance, which was what I was after. I mean, if I was going for full pretty, I'd already have reprinted a red fascia, but as I explained a minute ago, this was put on in a hurry for spares. I was originally planning to do Stealth Changer. And big money, no whammies. I'm not quite sure what Brad's talking about, but then, yeah, I was originally planning to do Stealth Changer. I smashed the red fascia for the stealth burner that was in here. So I had a blue one sitting in a box, and rather than print another one, I just threw the blue one on because I was in the middle of a test for something or other. And it just went on, and I haven't had a chance to come back and fix it. Now I've got the Vivid running, and I've got the Index running. I've got no excuse for not printing a nice, pretty red one. Let's now check the wiper, see if that's been squeaking. I don't think it has, because this is relatively new, and there's not many metal on metal parts on this. That's all fine. That's supposed to be a little bit floppy, just in case the nozzle catches it. It actually knocks it off rather than crashing into it and destroying things. Now, there is something I do plan on doing in the very near future, and that is moving the chain, the Z chain, underneath the gantry, rather than having it sticking out the front. It's too close to where the stealth burner is constantly rubbing up against this, and I just want some more clearance. I'm just having a look at how this is done. Let's see if we can do that now. Multicolor faceplate on mirror index. Definitely. That's the plan. I have some weatherproof heat shrink with glue inside. Might stick to the PTFE a little and keep the sleeve from fraying. That's worth thinking about. Thank you, Polar Ted. Let's see if we can move this Z-chain while we've got this printer out. Oh yeah, I have all my cables managed. But one thing I did do that was a little bit not me, and that's use these screw-on cable retainers, which is very unlike me to be planning in advance, as my regulars will know. This was just some project I found on printables and then adjusted to meet my needs. So that one's fixed, that one's fixed. These are all fixed ones, okay. I'm just working out my strategy for getting this off. Uh-oh. I've just gained a hammerhead T-nut. Now, when I was doing the index streams with Steve, we, oh, you can see your chat in reflection. We gave away some of the Big Tree Tech BiCube PLA Go. And I figured I'd see what the fuss is all about, because I'd never tried it. They just said, hey, do you want a prize? And I'm like, yeah, that'll work. So I found a local supplier who is doing an amazing deal on it at the moment. It works out about $9 US a kilo delivered, instead of the 29 that it normally is, because they've got, if you buy it in a pack of 10. And you can even get to pick the colors if you do it the way I did it. It's even cheaper if you don't pick the colors. Ooh, icky. Sorry, you guys can't see very much. Let's get rid of this one. There we go. So this is all the schmutz that builds up behind the bed where you can't easily get to it to clean it out. So the Z chain is currently on this little bracket here and mounted up onto the gantry here. My plan is to see, can we quickly and simply and easily remove that bracket and move the chain underneath and then screw it to the underside of the gantry and to the base rail here. It looks like I might need a spacer of some kind to raise it up above those corners. But other than that, that should be quite easy to do. That's a 2mm head screw. Okay, so that's undone. And that's undone. That needs that Allen key. Ow. Oh, may as well explain, because I'll probably get messages afterwards. I have a massive repetitive strain injury in my elbow and my shoulder from building the 3D sets trucks a year ago. It's not getting any better. Hello, Miss Ginger. One of the Beagles has come to say hi. So Mrs. Maker demanded I go see the physio. I went to see the physio. Physio then put tape on it all the way around to try and support it and help it and stuff. Then the tape tore my skin off and it went nasty and icky. So rather than show you a very nasty looking set of dressings, I put that on. Oh, free screw, said the actress to the clergy. Okay, so I'm sure you're all in the same sort of situation. You've built your printer many moons ago, and you never really strip it down to this level behind the back. So the plan is to screw this in under here. And I think I just need to pop the last link off. Which then frees it up to go there. I might be able to shorten this chain quite significantly, I think. Sorry, I'm kind of guesstimating this as I go. I've seen somebody do something similar. And that's still going to have a heap of... So if I jack that up onto a 20mm riser, that's as high as that's ever going to need to go. So I can probably take out about 5 links off this. Mounted about here. I think that's going to work. So I'm going to take that screw out before I lose it inside the printer. Take that screw out before I lose it inside the printer. And I think I'm on a win there. So, awesome. Can't do that right now, though. Or do I have any 20mm things I can screw in there? No, I don't. Let's have a look at chat and what's going on. We have a penguin. Hello, penguin. I'm here, can start the party now. We've been partying for an hour, well, almost an hour already, penguin, so you've been missing stuff. Fairy smoke, fairy... Caleb, why would you wish that upon me? Dude. 3 times for it to happen, right? Just like beautiful. It's expensive when I let the smoke out, dude. Please don't wish it upon me. So, I've just left myself with no working printer, which is awesome sauce. Let's fix that. I'm going to quickly jump into my Tinkercad account. Can you stop screwing around? No. Log in. I'm opening your favorite piece of software, my guy. I'm just doing it all off screen so you guys can't see all my login details. There we go. Okay. What's Tinkercad? For those of you who don't know, go like and subscribe to the Free Heathen Workshop on YouTube. And he's on Twitch a lot of the time too. He's a Twitch designer who does all his stuff in Tinkercad. Why? Because it's free, it's easy to work with, it's easy to learn, and his aim in life is to enable people to CAD even though they think they can't. Now, remember a couple of weeks ago I was showing off my template for keeping the heat sinks in place on 2209s and making them all straight? There we go, that's where I did it. And this is some of the stuff I teach to my classes. Tinker this. So let's plug it in. Have they changed it again? There we go. Oh, that's code blocks. That's what one of my students sent me. Ew. Let's go back. Get out of that one. He was trying to show me to use code blocks and it's bad. Okay. This is what I do. I teach kids how to work with servos and Arduinos, and The way Tinkercad works is one thing you can't do, and that is do resistance settings on the... Oh, they've added it now. This is actually measuring a voltage across the system rather than a resistance. And what that then does is it converts it by the code into a PWM signal, and that's what sets the servo. So yeah, I teach kids this stuff, and it's way cheaper to teach them to do it in software than it is to have them just plugging stuff into Arduinos and blowing them up every 5 minutes. So yeah. What we need to do is we need to go create a 3D design. Jose says, Tinkercad is awesome. I've made so many things in Tinker. I've got about 220 models or something crazy in there. I am teaching myself to use Fusion more and more. I'm getting more and more comfortable with it. Do I have any offcuts of 2020? Not short enough to deal with this Polited and cutting it. I don't have anything at home to cut it off neatly and tidily, so much easier to print it. Does it have virtual smoke? Now that might actually be useful for some of my students. They could really use it. So, how much distance we have between those 2 points? Let's find a ruler. We have 125 mil. You can always ask me. I have a few designs in Tinkercad. Yeah. Definitely, Raj, go check out Heathen's YouTube channel. It is an amazing place to visit. So we have 125 mils to play with. Let's go. Let's just make it 125 mils, because why not? 125. Now we're going to need some screw holes to mount it down to the rail. So let's go sides. 128, because we're not heathens. And a screw head for an M3, I believe, is 6.5 mil. So I'm going to make these 7. 7 mil by 7 mil. And we're going to need 2 of these. Control C, Control V. Then that one we're going to put there. That one we're going to leave over there for a minute. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get these 2. We're going to use the alignment tool. We're going to click the master reference, which is the red one, and we're going to say sync it to the middle of that one. Then we're going to go Control Z. I'm going to click outside. I'm going to click on the cylinder again, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which moves it 10 millimeters in from the edge. Then I'm going to go out, in, select the 2, alignment tool, master reference, can't see it. Oh, there we go, there's the dot. And we're going to align it to the end, so we know where we are. Control Z, fill, click outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, I don't have my library of stuff on this account, so I'm going to have to do it by hand anyway. I'm going to show you a trick, everybody. Let's go a 4 millimeters. So 4 by 4. And then we're going to get ourselves a cube. Again, we're going to use our alignment tool. And we're going to align it with that corner and that corner. Then we know it's a a 4x4, so it's a tube. And we'll go 1, 2, 1, 2. What that then does is it cuts the corner off the cube in a radius. So we go zoom out. We're going to set this to 10 by 10 to make it easier to work with. And we're going to combine those two. Combine, there we go. So what we've done is we've just eaten the corner out of that piece. That corner is now going to make it so that we have radiuses. We're going to go 1, we're going to make a bunch of these, and we're going to rotate them to various planes to make them easier to work with. So let's rotate that. Actually, Control Z. Let's also, first of all, make it hollow. Then Control C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to rotate this 90 degrees. And we're going to eat the corners off. All these parts to give them nice little radiuses on them all. Let's have a quick look. Now I've got the snap to grid turned on, which makes life a lot easier. This can get a lot more complicated with more complex parts. And I could also export this into Fusion and all the radiuses in Fusion, but the school I've been working with, who normally lets me use their Fusion accounts, has the IT department are being annoying. So now we need to go that way. And up. And we'll stretch it a whole bunch in that direction. We'll zoom out, stretch it a whole bunch in this direction. Control C, V. We're going to go mirror in that plane. And then we just need to do those last two top corners. So I need one more of these. Actually, I'm better off doing that first. Stretching it a bit that way. So when I get my students who come to me and say they can't do CAD and they don't like it and it's too hard, I show them this because it's like playing with Lego bricks. Control C, Control V. Move it to the end. Click on it. Mirror it so that it moves the radius to the other side. Now, next thing we need is a 3.2mm hole. 3.2 by 3.2. Control Z. Let's do the alignment on this first. Now, because this is 3mm, it's an odd size. it means it's not going to snap to our grid reliably. So what we can do is we can do 0.5 millimeter increments. CV. Hi, John. I'm just showing everybody what I do with my students. I punish them with Tinkercad. Okay, no, not really. So, anybody realize the mistake I almost made? It doesn't have direct fillets and chamfers built into it, Jeff. It's not designed for that. This is using features that are built in to achieve the same thing. So I had left that cylinder going all the way to the bottom of the part. Four mils from the base, which would have meant that I ended up with a fully huge hole all the way through. I don't want that to be a fully huge hole. That one's the one I want. 2, 3, 4. Double check all the way around it, make sure all those fillets that we're adding are even. That looks good. This is how you do fillets in Tinkercad. It's the easiest way to do it. You can. Let me show you something. Says our block. You can add a radius to the corners. Let's go a 2 millimeter radius. The problem is if you do that and then you stretch the piece, can you see these ends? It doesn't maintain the same radius. Even if you were to turn it off, it doesn't do this an even radius on the corners when it's a non-square item. So yeah, it's one of those eccentricities of the way the software works. So there we go. There's our riser block. And now what we're going to need is we're going to need, is that a full 20 millimeters wide? Yes, it is. It's actually slightly wider than 20 millimeters. That's 22 millimeters. Now, for a heat set that I use, I need a 4.3 millimeter cylinder for my hole. Actually, let's place it on top of that. Let's go 4.3 by 4.3. And because that's 22, I actually need that placing at the 11 mil mark. So actually, I'm going to get rid of this for a second. Let's make this. You could do one of these blocks at a time, but the tool itself only allows for the radius edges. It doesn't do a proper chamfer. So let's align this first of all. With the edge. Now, could you imagine if Steve was watching on the stream right now? He'd be cringing. We need to move this in so it's at about I did this silly way. Let's center align it. And then go Now we're in 0.5 millimeter increments at the moment, so we need to go 1 will be 1 millimeter off center and 0.5 millimeter to give us some clearance so it doesn't whack on the back panel. And let's sink that 6 mils into the structure to give us a little bit of extra depth for any extra plastic to disappear into. Yeah, it's based entirely on Primitive's tuxedo. Yeah, Heathen could definitely show me a few tricks, I'm sure. And then we go here. Not that one. That one. Now, the other thing we are currently missing is so we need to make this. Zoom in. It's a 20 by 20, which is fine, but we need to make this 10 high to give us a 45-degree angle. We then need to give it a number of sides of 128. And then we're going to chuck it up in the air. And let's make it hollow so we can see what's going on. That'll be a good idea. There we go. That's all aligned. And all I'm doing here is just putting a chamfer on the holes. Doobie 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 doo. Send it off into the ether and then zoom across to it. Doobie 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 doo. There we go. 2 chamfers. Because we're not heathens. Oh, well, one of us is, but it's the guy in chat, not me. Control C, V, Control Z. Now it will automatically put them parallel to each other, but which parallel is depends on how you orient your screen. Let's zoom in on this one. We need to, that's aligned, and then we need to go there we go. A very tiny chamfer on that one to help the heat set sit in nicely. Control A and join them all together. Doopy doopy doo. Can you export and export step files? You can export to STL or you can export to Fusion. So there we go. That's my spacer riser thingy. Just thinking, do I want to make this hollow to make it less material? It'll take longer to print. Probably not worth the effort for this little amount of plastic. So what I can do, for those who are wondering, you can go send to. You can create a PNG of your design to download, or you can send it to Autodesk Fusion or Forma, and you can save it to your Google Drive, Google Classroom. You can even save it up to printables and a whole bunch of other things. But I'm going to see what happens. Let's call it riser cable chain. There you go. Send. Open in the local desktop. This is probably going to bomb out. It almost always does. Yep, it's going to crash out. Not the end of the world. But if I've already got Fusion preloaded, which I'm not going to do during stream because it'll involve putting my credentials in, it would then do that. It will pop up. I like that Tinkercad stole the Autodesk position cube. I did as well in my object view. They're all on the same platform, John. Tinkercad is owned by Autodesk. And basically, this is the microdoses of meth to get you addicted to the full fat one. So the whole idea of this is Tinkercad gets kids into CAD a little bit. We then, as teachers, start clicking the send to and sending the files off to the Fusion installs on the kids' machines, and then they start working on the same products in Fusion to kind of build them step by step. So idea is this is for primary school and very early middle school if you're in America, or very early high school if you're in the rest of the world. And then you move them on to Fusion by like 12, 13 years old, when they've got their brains a bit more around this kind of stuff. And yeah, from there you teach them Fusion and or Inventor. So yeah, so that's ready to go. I just need to get that print. I've never used this, but for a countersunk hole, I imagine you could use a cylinder to create the countersink. Yeah, I did a cone just for ease, because that then has all the planes. I set the by setting the cone to be half as high as it is wide, that gives you a 45-degree angle, and then yeah, that gives you a pretty make stuff and do things. Exactly, Heathen. And for those of you who don't know, let me save this and do something. Cable chain riser. Create a 3D design. If you're stuck at home or out or wherever, you can come here. That's not what I'm after. 3D. And you can design in Lego bricks. So you can actually generate Lego bricks digitally, and you can actually build things in Lego. You can set the base to be much bigger than this, and you can actually design in using the primitive Lego brick sizes to CAD a model up. So yeah, what time is it? 4:20 my time. So yeah, the Lego brick stuff is pretty cool. I haven't had time to play with it recently. They've changed the interface a little bit, but you can add more bricks and do all sorts of things. There we go. I don't have time to work out the interface again, but yeah, you can do lots and lots and lots of bricks. Or go back to the plain interface. Let's go back to here. Yeah, you do need to come visit, dude. Cable chain riser is there. I need to download it. STL. And as you can see, you can download OBJ files or SVG. SVG is what a lot of my kids are using at school a lot of the time, because it means that they can throw things straight onto the laser cutter. It also means that what you can do is you can actually import pictures into Tinkercad. I think it imports PNGs, JPEGs, and complex SVG. You can import it into here. You can trace it using the line tool, and then from there you can export it as SVG and then use it on a laser. So that's another way you can do things. So that file has downloaded. Let's close that. Close that. Now, while I've got the printer apart, there were 3 little clips I need to put back on. Where did I put them? There. One. You'd have to use a cone to cut a countersink. Exactly, that's what I did. 2. When this thing is on the bench, it's really hard to get to these, so they've been missing for a while. That's all in place. That's all in place. Both those filaments are retracted, so that's all good again. So we do need to work out a method for securing that up to there. So let's find a T-nut. Hex nut, rock-in, hammerhead. In an M3, and we're probably going to need a 6mm. Let's go to that one so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. I'm going to need an M3-8 for this. It's not quite long enough. It's one of those situations where an 8 is probably going to be ever so slightly too long and digging into the aluminium, but a 6 is a little bit too short. I might need to reprint that with a big fat radius on it to make sure it doesn't catch. Either that, I might need to move this whole thing back a bit so it's always stuck up behind it. But at least that's in place. Now I can't print the block because the block is too big for the bed on the V0s. The core one is printing for another 3 hours, 4 hours, and this is obviously offline. So I'll have to print that part afterwards. Tinkercad is from Autodesk. Did not know that. Oh yeah. Yes, I also do use Fusion Tuxedo. It's I am by no means even remotely skilled at Fusion. I'm slowly teaching myself because I have to teach the kids. But my brain isn't wired for Fusion. I've tried Onshape, I've tried Fusion, I've tried Inventor. I originally taught myself on the original AutoCAD, and I was okay at it, but my brain isn't wired for it. Tinkercad, Heather and I have discussed this on a few different occasions, and I describe it to my kids as being Lego brained. If you think in 3 dimensions, and you're used to dealing with these blocks that are already 3D, it's very easy for you to manipulate a block in 3 dimensions and just throw it into place. Having to, for lack of a better way of describing it, dumb it down into being something that's flat. Let's go, yeah. To be able to dumb it down into something that's flat and then lay it all out and then stretch it upwards, it seems like an unnecessary step in my brain, and it's really hard to break that habit of designing everything flat and then stretching the bits to be the right heights. and in the right dimensions. It's not the way my brain is wired, so I struggle with it. I mean, what did I do most recently? I did something for the Core 1. Oh yeah, there's I mentioned it on the stream with Steve. There's a strip that goes across the back of the there's a cable that runs across the back of the Core 1. Like if this was the Core 1, it runs from here to here between the two sensor arrays. And it's just a loose cable that runs along the back rail. It's loose, but there's two holes in the back rail about here. Let me get the... Having taken the near identical part off the printer for the front, I can show you guys a bit better. Here we go. So this is the equivalent rail along the front of the printer. That's the top where the lid sits. That's the top where the lid sits here. There's a hole here and a hole here in the back one. So I've designed a plate which you print. It's about that long, so it covers most of the length. And it's got a channel through it, and it holds the cable in place and protects it behind this little panel that screws to the two existing holes. I was able to do that in Fusion relatively simply, including some little built-in kinks that are designed to hold the cable in place. So it's got some little D-shaped lumps, for a better way of describing it, that intrude into the cable channel, which mean that you can press the cable in, and the thickness of the cable is just ever so slightly crimped by the Ds, and that holds the cable in place along the whole length. Jose uses Onshape over Fusion, a lot easier to operate. I also use Autodesk and StrueCAD for work. Yeah, if your brain's wired that way, then it's awesome. Oh, so that was Jeff saying that to Jose. It's one of those things where if your brain's wired for it, awesome. If it's not, then it's not. And I deal with lots of kids who, some will like Onshape, some will like Fusion, some will like Tinkercad. It just depends how your brain is wired and how you think. And it used to be that some schools would just force you to keep using the same package. The head of department at the school I normally teach with now, he's very much more open to the kids finding the package that suits them and using the package that suits them. And a lot of the packages are free and Fusion's expensive. So if he can reduce his Fusion seat count, it's better for his budgets. So he's on a win there as well. So yeah, I had trouble grasping that at first, but then it's all fell into place and now I absolutely love the concept. Yeah, I would rather not have a student sitting there for 3 weeks struggling and feeling like they're never going to get it. I'd rather them have some progress and have some see some results rather than discourage them and think that CAD is not for them. If they can find results in a package that's not the package that we would prefer, but they're getting the results we need, why restrict them? It really is that simple. Teaching used to be very much a, here you go, you must do this. Now we're trying to go, okay, your brain isn't wired that way, but you can still get the results. So why are we going to torture you? So that's the way I prefer to be, especially with what I'm doing, because I'm in the same position as some of these kids. Sorry, there's so much goo that's built up back here. It's irritating. Okay, I'm going to need to get the spray and wipe and like clean out all the deck and stuff after the stream, I think. So that was that. That was that. We've reached an impasse. We can't really do an awful lot more on this. I think I've nailed down where those loose screws were, but now we've got access to the back panel. And I can see these. I'm just going to quickly test these. That one's tight. That one's tight. 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 I do need to come up with a solution for holding the plate. So what I find is sometimes I push the the build plate back too far on the aluminium bed, and it's going to catch on the nozzle wiper. So I need to develop some means of retaining the bed right at the very back edge of the aluminium plate. I'll worry about that another day, but me now having had a look at it in the open like this, it's got my brain thinking. I'm sure you guys have realized that I'm one of those people who processes stuff in the back of my brain while I'm doing lots of things. Ram, hello! Hello, say everybody say hi to Ram online. Or Ramon, or I'm never quite sure how to pronounce it. The Crazy Dutch Man. From the land where pot has been legal for many years. So yeah. Other things I need to do, I need to get rid of these. So we may as well do that while we're here. Because these are for the box turtle. Box turtle I plan to use in conjunction with the mercury once I've got it finished. So it's not dead in the water. I am still working with it. It's just when you've got index, and I'm still doing testing with the Vivid. There's a new firmware that I'm looking at right now ahead of them launching it. So I just realized you guys can't see what I'm up to. There we go. That's better. I'm taking the... Oh, still can't see. Taking these blocks off. Just using tweezers to get the hammerhead T-nuts out. So that's all fine, that's all fine. Okay. Let's wheel that back around. So where are we at? We need to do a new multicolor front fascia for the stealth burner because we can. I need to print some of the panel clips because a couple of them have got broken over time and need replacing. I need a better means of supporting this on the top of the printer because it's a bit heavy and it's currently just sitting on the acrylic and bowing it in a bit. So I need to maybe find some extrusions to put across the top of the printer to take that weight. And I need to do the back brackets to stop the bed sliding too far back and print out that riser block that we just designed. Well, what you think about the AMS of Big Tree Tech? Oh, you mean the Vivid? I had a really shit experience. Check out Stream Chat on Phil's Discord. Let's put a link to my Discord into chat. Where are we? I'm really hopeless at turning this thing on. It's here somewhere. Here somewhere. Or did I get rid of it? I have a little bot that's supposed to inject into chat. But when I did some changes on my machine, I think I got rid of it. Okay, so it's here somewhere. That's not it. It's here somewhere. No. There we go. Let's see if that works. Okay. Exclamation mark. Yeah. The bot that does it all, Raj, unfortunately, is broken. Okay, it's connected, so it hopefully should start spamming stuff in a minute. If not, let's just go to Discord, go to my Discord, invite to server. Oh, it's here somewhere. Invites. Ah, you can't copy the invites. It's all broken. Okay. Create invite link. Copy. There you go. That one will expire, so don't guarantee it. It's also linked in my channel description, usually in my the stream details. So hopefully that'll get everybody onto my Discord. Sorry for the distraction. I'm just trying to get that done, because when you're starting your streams at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, it's sometimes you struggle. I mean, yeah. So where was I at? Vivid. I had a shit of a time. Oh, it's working. Sweet. So Vivid, I was originally sent the base unit and the buffer. The buffer is the bit where the filament goes into at the back of the printer. This bit, I was originally sent this. This is the new version. The geometry changed on the inside. They sent me the old one by accident. So I had a shit of a time, and so did a lot of the other testers, trying to get it to work. And then all of a sudden, Canuck Creator was sent one for Influencer, and his just went together and his just worked. And we're like, wait, what? And then they realized that they'd sent us the wrong hardware revision, and they sent us replacements. And yeah, since then, it's actually been a lot easier to work with. Would I buy one? There's a lot of rivals on the market for similar money, and it really does depend on what suits your specific needs. Having a dryer built in is better than better pricing overall than the box turtle, if you're going for the full dry box equivalent. Are there magnets in it? Magnets in what? In here? No, this is all mechanical. It's got a whole bunch of really, really fine springs and mechanisms and stuff. Inside here, if you were to take it apart and not know what to expect, you would have what happened to me the first time I dismantled the original buffer, and springs went pew, pew, pew all over the room, and it was a whole mess. So yeah, the inside here is lots of little fine mechanisms and springs, and now they've got the geometry right, I'm having nearly flawless changes. I think I've had to intervene on it about one in like the last 600 or 700. And I think that was possibly because of the filament itself rather than the unit. But if you compare that to Index, I'm at close to 40,000 changes on that, and I've never had to intervene on it. So yeah, it's one of those things. Same as bamboo. I don't know. I've never had a bamboo. I never likely to be honest. So yeah, if you need a dryer and you don't have the time, energy, or inclination to build a box turtle, then it's a really good option. You can see where I spent my personal money. It went on Index, and it was a lot of money, and it was a shit of a process to get it integrated, but now it's working. It's awesome. I have no idea what Jeff and Jose are on about, but it sounds like they're doing stuff and things. So yeah, looks like I need to put some cable sleevings on some of this stuff to tidy it up a bit more and make it a bit nicer. But yeah, we are at 4:40 a.m. my time. It is a little bit of a shorter stream than I normally do. I normally go for a little bit over 2 hours, but I'm running out of stuff to do. And rather than me standing here dribbling lots and lots of stuff, oh, wait a minute, brittle filament in there is a disaster, but maybe for my RatRig 500, it might be cool. If you're printing with ABS or PETG RAM, you're not going to have any issues at all. It's if you're using PLA and it goes hard and brittle, and I mean, this is the stuff that that I had trouble with. It just breaks. And you can't not have a radius in there. It just, yeah, if you've got old PLA, it'll shatter and you'll end up with grief. PETG is not going to be an issue as long as you can keep it dry. But yeah. So, I have been Phil. I have been the Down Under Maker. It's been a good week. I will catch you all next week. It's time for me to hop on out of here. Bye, guys.